So today we're going to talk about the concept of being and or getting stacked in your vertical jump. This applies to both 1 foot and 2 foot, but today we're going to talk about the 2 foot takeoff. Being stacked is really just about creating a mechanical advantage or putting your body in a position where when you apply force to the ground, we lose as little power as possible during that time. Stacked, as it's referred to in the PPA philosophy of jump training and jump technique, is shoulder, hip, and ankle being in alignment during the takeoff portion or the amortization or loading phase of your jump. So if you guys know at this point that I'm a right-left approach, so when I take off the ground, my dominant loading leg is my back foot, is my right leg, and this is the hip or leg or side of the body that we want to shoot to have stacked, or at least in a nice straight line. I think the one most common issue with the concept of being stacked is that everything has to be extremely vertical. Stacked can apply to all types of jumps, whether it's vertical or horizontal. We just want to see that when there is a angle of action taking place, that the main movers of the body are in a nice straight stacked environment. So if I was to take off here on 2 feet, what we're going to notice right away, this is a good position. So as I'm loading into this jump, my right foot, my right ankle, my right hip, and my right shoulder are lined up on top of each other. What this accomplishes is helping to shorten our ground contact time. And ground contact time, not to overcomplicate it efficiently, is the amount of time spent on the ground. We want to try to optimize that time, and by getting in this nice stacked position as early as possible, we'll actually minimize the amount of ground contact time we have during the loading or takeoff portion of our jump. Some of the more common errors you're going to see are athletes that end up in a very dumped position where their chest and shoulders end up really far in front of their hip. And the reason we don't want to end up in this position, although there is some benefit to hip extension, is we'll actually create a longer ground contact time, and, or I guess I should specify that the reason we have a longer ground contact time is that from this position, there's a necessity to what we call recover the torso, or bring that torso back to vertical before we can leave the ground. So that's all time spent on the ground achieving those new positions. So there's a rhyme and a reason behind why we use a lot of our stability drill protocols like single leg hops, is to reinforce that stacked position, which is why I always have that trail leg out in front of the body versus being in behind the body, is that we reinforce that nice stacked ankle, hip, and shoulder. And while performing these hops, we get some positional stability feedback that allows our body to recognize those positions. So when you hear the term stacked, which you'll likely only hear over my channel, you'll know that it means we're trying to achieve big movers, our ankles, our hips, and our shoulders. We're trying to get those nice and lined up so that we can leave the ground quickly, efficiently, and maximize the amount of velocity through our approach into our takeoff. Hope that makes sense. We'll see you guys soon.